If you watch my previous video, you'll remember that this Moto Guzzi Quota came into my life as a trailer full of bits. The previous owner had been partway through a complete rebuild when he was sideswiped on his other bike and almost killed. My friend Norm put the bike back together, then I took it over. Everything seemed to be working well, but it was time for a serious test. Heading across the country on an unproven bike may seem a bit unwise, but how else was I ever going to find out whether it was reliable? Packed and ready, I headed north and west, ending my first day at the provincial park in Temagami. Well, that's day one, my first decent ride on the Quota, and a very fine bike it is too. It only rode, I don't know, 500 maybe 600 kilometers, but it felt pretty good. So now I'm relaxing here in Finlayson Provincial Park. You should see my little tent over in the corner there. Yeah, there we are. And the bike behind me somewhere there. It's quiet in the park. There's not too many people camping from what I can tell, and looking forward to a good night's sleep, and then up in the morning and on we go. Heading west across Ontario, I took the quiet road through Elk Lake, Gogama and Shining Tree, then onto the unpaved Sultan Industrial Road for 75 kilometers of gravel. Once in a while I'd stop to appreciate the landscape and the quiet. Sometimes you can just get tunnel vision and ride, and never see what the world that you're passing through is really like. Eventually I reached Highway 17, the Trans-Canada Highway, the more scenic of the two roads which cut across this part of northern Ontario. Rock cuts, trees and lakes. It's a pleasant enough road, but I was eager to keep moving and didn't stop often. After a fairly lengthy day, I pulled into a motel in Schreiber and got the last available room. Greasy chicken wings and pop for supper. I've ridden past the signs for Umet Canyon countless times, and always promised myself that one day I would ride the 11 kilometers in to take a look. A short walk leads to some balconies overhanging the gorge. There was nobody else around, just me and a host of birds twittering in the nearby treetops. My cameras don't do it justice. It's a lovely, impressive geological gash in the landscape. The road back out to the highway was pleasant, but I was soon back on Highway 17 heading towards Manitoba. Once across the border I stopped to check my map, and when I started again I could see that my speedo was dead. That evening, as I camped at Falcon Lake, I investigated. The inner cable had broken. An omen of things to come? We shall see. Packing up in the morning never takes very long, and I was soon riding again, heading west. After a few kilometers I turned off the major highway and onto some local roads just to get a feel for the country. I'd left the rocks and lakes of Ontario far behind. This was farming country, and it would be like this for the next 1,000 kilometers. As I headed for this bridge, a black bear crossed the road ahead of me before I could activate the camera. However, just the other side of the bridge, I saw this golden eagle. He was being harassed by small birds and took flight just as I approached. I've heard people say that the prairies are boring, and it's true that there are endless acres of undistinguished farmland, and the small towns like Dauphin here, all look more or less the same. Still, there are always little details to catch one's eye, and I was enjoying the broad skies and the rich croplands. Abandoned farm buildings, Ukrainian churches, and mile after mile of startlingly yellow canola stretching off to the horizon. After a night at a small, private campsite in Swan River, I hit the road early heading west. More colossal fields, but this time punctuated by grain elevators standing out on the horizon like medieval church towers in the fens. This part of Saskatchewan is along the fringes of the boreal forest, so the areas where farming is viable are patchy. Much of the day was spent riding through scrubby forest, then, unexpectedly, the forest would be left behind and vast fields appeared again. Roadside plaques commemorated significant historical events along the way. Another long day and I drifted into Spiritwood, and was eventually able to rouse the motel owner and settled in for the night. Sometimes things don't work out as planned. My enthusiasm for continuing west was waning, and I was starting to worry about the speed at which my rear tire was wearing out. Should I continue on? Should I head to Edmonton to see if I can find a new tire? Was I really that motivated to get further west? I rode on, crossing into Alberta on Saturday. Those little voices in my head were starting to argue. Should I hang around on the fringes of Edmonton all Sunday, waiting for the stores to open on Monday? I passed through Cold Lake, ending the day in the surprisingly pleasant town of Athabasca. I'd see how I felt in the morning. An early start, and without really thinking about it, I found myself heading east. These were going to be long highway days, punctuated with stops along the way for fuel and food. I should mention that, other than the speedo cable breaking early on, I'd had absolutely no problems with the bike. It always started straight away, rolled along smoothly and comfortably, and was a joy to ride. A couple of days on the Yellowhead Highway through Saskatchewan and Manitoba passed in a blur. But not long after I re-entered Ontario, it started to rain. Without a working speedo, I'd been relying on my GPS app on my phone to monitor my speed. Well, you can probably guess the rest. The rain got into my phone and destroyed the screen. The trip back around Lake Superior reminded me that, although I'm an immigrant, I've developed a deep affection for Northern Ontario's wild and rocky world of forests and lakes. It had been a long, hard road trip, punctuated by too few stops and too many hours in the saddle, grinding along from full tank to nearly empty. I'm always encouraging others to stop and smell the metaphorical roses, yet I'm not very good at doing it myself. From a disassembled carcass to a fully running bike, the Quota had proven itself reliable over 8,000 kilometers and 10 days of hard running. It needs a new speedo cable and a new tire, but other than that, it's fully ready for new adventures. Please like and subscribe, and check out my books on Amazon or Audible. Just search for Nick Adams Motorcycle. Thanks for watching.